Welcome to Kuma English Listening Hub. In this episode, we are going to explore a fascinating new trend in the world of work, travel, and lifestyle: remote work villages. These are small communities, sometimes in unexpected places, that are designed for people who can work from their laptops while living in a completely different environment. You may have heard the phrase digital nomad. It usually refers to someone who travels from place to place while working online. For many years, digital nomads were associated with crowded coffee shops, noisy hostels, and short-term rentals in big cities. But recently, a quieter, more community-focused option has started to appear: remote work villages. So what exactly is a remote work village? Imagine a small town on a sunny island, or a historic village in the mountains, where almost everyone around you has something in common. They work remotely. There is fast internet, shared workspaces, organized events, and sometimes even language classes or cultural workshops. Instead of being a tourist passing through, you become a temporary resident who is actually living and working there. In this episode, we will look at why remote work villages are becoming so popular, how they are changing small communities, and what challenges they bring. We will also follow an imaginary week in the life of a remote worker living in one of these villages, so you can picture the experience more clearly while you listen. Let's start with the basic question: why are remote work villages appearing now? First, technology has finally made this lifestyle realistic for many people. Reliable video calls, cloud storage, and online collaboration platforms allow teams to work together from different continents. At the same time, high-speed internet has become more widely available, even in rural areas that used to be disconnected. Second, the global pandemic dramatically accelerated the move to remote work. Many companies that had never considered it suddenly allowed employees to work from home. Later, some of those employees discovered that if they could work from home, they could also work from somewhere more exciting, more peaceful, or simply cheaper. Third, a growing number of towns and regions see remote workers as an opportunity. These places may have lost young people to big cities. Houses might be empty. Local shops may be struggling. By inviting remote workers to stay for a few months or even longer, these communities hope to bring new life into their streets, their schools, and their small businesses. A remote work village usually starts with a simple idea. What if we could bring together a group of remote workers in the same place at the same time? But to make that happen, someone has to coordinate it. Often, a local entrepreneur or a small organization partners with the town council. They prepare housing, improve the internet connection, and set up a co-working space. Then they promote the village online, sometimes offering attractive packages that include accommodation, a desk, and local experiences. Now, let's zoom in on one example. This is not a specific real village, but a realistic combination of many that already exist. Imagine a quiet coastal town, far from any big city. For years, it depended on traditional industries such as fishing and small-scale farming. When these industries declined, many younger residents left to find work elsewhere. Some shops closed, and the main square became less busy. Then, a few years ago, the town received a grant to develop a remote work program. With the funding, they renovated an old school building and turned it into a modern co-working space. They installed fiber optic internet, added comfortable desks, and created silent rooms for video calls. Local families agreed to rent out rooms or small apartments to incoming remote workers at reasonable prices. The town then launched a website promoting itself as a remote work village. It highlighted its warm climate, affordable living costs, relaxed atmosphere, and direct contact with nature. It also emphasized that visitors would not just be tourists, they would be part of a community. Now, imagine arriving there as a remote worker. You step off the regional bus with a backpack, a suitcase, and your laptop. The air smells of the sea. At the small bus station, a volunteer from the village program is waiting for you, holding a simple sign with your name. She welcomes you, explains a few basic things about the town, and walks you to your rented apartment. The apartment is modest but bright. There is a small balcony, a desk near the window, and a reliable internet connection. On the kitchen table, you find a welcome package, a map of the town, a list of events, and a handwritten note from your host family who lives upstairs. The next morning, you walk to the co-working space, passing through narrow streets and past a bakery that already smells like fresh bread. Inside the co-working building, you meet people from different countries and different professions. Some are software developers. Others are writers, designers, or marketing specialists. A few run their own online businesses. At lunchtime, several of you go to a local restaurant that offers a simple daily menu at a discount for remote workers. The owner is happy to practice his English with you, and you try to order in the local language. There is a sense that both sides are learning from each other. In the afternoon, you join a language exchange session in the co-working space. Locals who want to improve their English or other languages sit across from remote workers who want to practice the local language. Every few minutes, a bell rings and everyone switches partners. There is laughter, occasional confusion, and many new words. In the evening, some people join a hiking group that follows a trail up into the hills above the village. From the viewpoint, you can see the coastline stretching into the distance. Someone points out the fields where local farmers grow vegetables that will appear on your plate the next day. By the end of the week, you have met more people than you normally would in a month at home. This example shows why remote work villages are so attractive. They combine productivity and connection. You can focus on your job, but you are also surrounded by opportunities to meet others, experience another culture, and spend time in nature. However, remote work villages are not only about the visitors. For local communities, they can be a double-edged sword. On the positive side, remote workers bring money into the local economy. They rent apartments, buy groceries, eat in restaurants, and pay for services like haircuts or yoga classes. Local guides can offer workshops, tours, or cooking lessons. Some remote workers even start projects with local people, such as websites for family businesses or social media campaigns for small shops. Remote workers also bring new skills and perspectives. A young developer from another country might show a local teenager how to build a simple app. A graphic designer might help a local cafe create a more attractive menu. These are small changes, but over time they can help a town adapt to a more digital world. In addition, a higher level of international presence can make local authorities more aware of the need for good infrastructure. Better internet, improved public transport, and more cultural events do not only help visitors, they also improve life for permanent residents. But there are risks and challenges. One major concern is the cost of housing. If a town becomes popular with remote workers, landlords may realize they can earn more money by renting to short-term visitors than to local families. This can push up rents and make it harder for residents to remain in their own community. Another issue is cultural tension. Even if most visitors are respectful, some may treat the village like an extended vacation. They might play loud music late at night, dress in ways that feel inappropriate for a conservative town, or ignore local customs without realizing it. A constant flow of short-term residents can make some locals feel like strangers in their own streets. There is also the question of commitment. Remote workers come and go. They enjoy the benefits of the village, but may not stay long enough to participate in long-term projects, local politics, or community responsibilities. The risk is that the village becomes a backdrop, a kind of beautiful office set, rather than a place with its own identity. To handle these challenges, some remote work villages have introduced clear guidelines. For example, they may limit the number of remote workers at any one time to avoid overwhelming the town. They can prioritize visitors who will stay for at least a month, rather than just a few days. And they can encourage cultural orientation sessions where newcomers learn about local history, traditions, and expectations. Some programs require remote workers to give something back. This does not always mean money. It can mean a few hours a week of volunteering. That might involve helping students with language practice, offering a free workshop on digital skills, or supporting an environmental project such as beach cleanups or tree planting. From the visitor's perspective, living in a remote work village is not the same as a holiday. You still have deadlines, online meetings, and tasks. But your daily routine may change in surprising ways. Instead of commuting for an hour in heavy traffic, you walk 10 minutes through quiet streets. Instead of eating lunch alone at your desk, you share a meal with people from 4 different countries. Instead of spending your evening in front of a screen, you might go to a folk music concert in the town square or join a local festival. This mix of work and cultural immersion can be intense. At times, it might even feel overwhelming. You are constantly adapting to a new environment, a new language, and new social norms. For some people, this is energizing. For others, it can be exhausting. To stay balanced, experienced remote workers often create strong routines. They choose fixed working hours, set limits on social events, and schedule quiet time. Some use the opportunity to develop healthier habits, such as morning walks, regular exercise, or more balanced meals. It is also important to remember that the beautiful photos you see on social media rarely show the full picture. A laptop on a beach looks glamorous, but in reality, sunlight on your screen, sand in your keyboard, and unstable internet make it a bad office. Most remote workers in these villages actually work from indoor spaces with good chairs and strong Wi-Fi. Looking to the future, will remote work villages remain a niche trend, or could they become a common feature of how we live and work? Several possibilities are emerging. First, more governments are experimenting with special visas for remote workers. These visas allow people to stay longer than a tourist would, without competing for local jobs. If such visas become more common, it will be easier for remote work villages to attract visitors legally and safely. Second, educational institutions are beginning to notice the potential. Some universities are discussing programs where students can take online courses from a remote work village, combining academic learning with real-world international experience. Third, companies themselves may start to organize temporary remote work retreats for their employees. Instead of an office, a team could spend a month in a remote work village, working as usual, but also building stronger relationships in a new environment. At the same time, there is a growing conversation about environmental impact. Frequent air travel has a serious carbon footprint. Remote work villages that rely on constant international flights might not be sustainable in the long term. To address this, some programs encourage longer stays and fewer flights. Others try to attract workers from nearby regions so they can travel by train or bus. There is also interest in developing remote work villages within the same country, so people can experience a different region without crossing borders. Ultimately, the success of remote work villages will depend on balance. They need to balance the comfort of remote workers with the needs of local residents. They need to balance economic growth with cultural and environmental protection. And they need to balance the excitement of constant change with the stability that every community requires. For you, as an English learner, remote work villages are interesting for another reason. They represent a world where language skills are more valuable than ever. In these villages, English often becomes the common language that allows people from different backgrounds to collaborate, share ideas, and simply enjoy each other's company. If you can communicate clearly in English, you can join international conversations in a co-working space, take part in workshops and events, and perhaps even help bridge the gap between locals and visitors. So, as you listen to this episode, you might ask yourself a few questions. Would you enjoy living in a remote work village for a month or two? What kind of work would you like to do from there? How could you contribute to the local community instead of just consuming its services? And finally, what skills, including language skills, would you need to make the most of such an experience? Remote work villages are still an experiment. Some will succeed, some will fail, and others will change shape over time. But they are part of a broader movement that is reshaping the relationship between work, place, and identity. They show that your office does not have to be a fixed location. It can be a renovated school building in a coastal town, a shared house in the mountains, or a small hub in a historic village. They also remind us that behind every trend there are real people. Local residents trying to protect their culture, and remote workers trying to find meaning and connection in a world that is increasingly online. Thank you for listening to Kuma English Listening Hub. If you want to challenge yourself, try summarizing this episode in your own words. You can also discuss the topic with a friend or write a short paragraph about whether you would like to try life in a remote work village. See you in the next episode.